Thank you all for coming to the SGA candidate debate today. My name is Derek Blair. I'm the managing editor at The Sunflower. I will be one of the moderators for tonight. My co-moderator will be Jake Treese up here. Tonight we will be asking a series of questions to the presidential candidates, then the vice presidential candidates, and then we will be having an open forum. The format for tonight's debate will start off first for the presidents. They will have 30 minutes to go through questions. Each candidate will be asked a question and given 2 minutes to respond. Their opponent will then be given 1 minute for rebuttal. If we decide that anything is said during that time that is worth a follow-up by their opponent or by us, if they say something we think needs a follow-up question, they will be given 30 extra seconds. Otherwise, we will move on to asking the same question to the other candidate. We will then, after 30 minutes, have the VP debate, which will follow the same rules, but it will be for 15 minutes. After the VP debate, there will be an open forum where we will take questions from the audience. So during tonight's debate, please come up with some questions of your own. We had before this a coin toss to figure out who would go first and who would have the last statement. Sean won the coin toss, but decided to let Aaron have the opening statement.
Continue, go ahead.
So, Sean McNamara, Aaron Beckham, I ask that you both please come up here. All right. So, we will first have opening statements from the candidates. Darren, you are first.
Thank you, and I do want to say thank you to everyone that came today. These are important issues. These are important decisions that we're all making, who to vote for, and who our future leaders will be. What's on the line is, this year at least, $11.5 million that are spent in student fees that student government gets to allocate. Whoever is president is going to be a major part of making that decision. I want to once again thank my candidate, or my opponent, for being here, and the information that we hope to share today. I hope that it's informative to each of you and helps move the discussion along. I do want to say something. Per the Election Commission decision, I wanted to let everyone know that there was an event that happened last week, or 2 weeks ago I'll say, called Project Runaway, and that was funded by SGA in part. The organizer of that event actually recognized our party at that event, and because it was funded in part by SGA, it gave us an unfair advantage that we should not have enjoyed, and I want to say that we are sorry for the unfair publicity that we got for that, and are happy to get the chance to make that up in the time that we were.
Mr. McNamara, you're up next.
Thank you very much. Once again, I would also like to thank everyone for coming. I'd like to thank my esteemed colleague, Darren Beckham, as well too. We do have a lot riding on this. When I first started coming to the SGA, I didn't think that it was anything substantial, and once I started getting more involved with it and growing with it, I realized that in fact it is a very substantial organization, which, as Darren said, has a lot on the line. That being said, though, after spending some time in the SGA in the current administration, I'm not exactly happy and pleased with the way it's gone. There are some things that I think need to be addressed, and our team, our party, our ticket stands ready to make sure that those issues are addressed, which I'm sure that we will get into in a few minutes with the debate. With that, I thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll now go into the format for the questions. I remind you once more, 2 minutes for your answer, 1 minute for rebuttal if you so choose, and then at our discretion, 30 seconds will be given. We will try to limit that though. So, first question. This is to you, Darren. What are your campaign's major issues in this election?
We really feel like our campaign centers around three main things. The first is advocating for student issues through the transition. And what I mean by transition are the changes that are coming to campus, have come to campus, our new president, our new vice president of academic affairs, and all the construction and plans for restructuring this university. And so making sure that we're representing student issues through that process, and then communicating to students what is going to happen according to that decision-making process. Another one is adding a new air of professionalism and responsibility to the process. I agree with my opponent that this year's administration, I don't think, made all the right choices. And I really think it's going to be a time for looking at how we spend our money, spending it carefully, and not doing things that aren't benefiting students. I think it means working with people on campus instead of competing with them, whether that be the Office of Student Involvement or SAC in general, or the newspaper. I think all of these relationships are things that we are going to prioritize highly. And then thirdly is really representing issues that come from different perspectives. When it came to recruiting a ticket, Bree and I worked together to build a ticket that represented a lot of different kinds of perspectives, not just ones that we brought through our experiences in SGA or around campus. It also brings international student perspectives. It is varied and diverse from what colleges and backgrounds they represent. And so I think we're going to be able to engage student government and move it forward, looking at issues and engaging them from many different points of view and moving them forward.
So, Sean, the same question to you then.
Okay. We agree with some things that Mr. Beckham said. One of the biggest ones being that we're hoping to work with President Bardo as well too throughout this transition phase. There's also more serious issues that need to be addressed in the immediate and prepared for future down the road as well too. The hunger awareness is something that we're very concerned about. The deferred maintenance throughout the university is another thing that we are worried about, where buildings are in some cases falling apart and steps are falling apart and crumbling. That's a concern. It's a safety hazard. We really also want to make sure that we reach out to the students. In the past, SGA has always said that we have an open door policy, and it's great to have that open door policy, but instead of having the open door policy and waiting for the students to walk through that door, we want to go out to the students and engage them there. Also, the same thing with the RSOs as well too. We want to work as a bridge to help facilitate relations between all the RSOs, so we all start working together, and the RSOs hopefully will be able to build their memberships and their communities that much better.
Right. So this is the second question, back to you, Darren. What are your personal goals to achieve if elected as president? So what do you personally hope to achieve?
I really want to be about empowering my officers and student government as a whole to take on their own initiatives and to move ideas forward without the president's say so, or not waiting on the president's beck and call. I really want to be about having more communication within our office and speaking to our officers, asking them to take charge of their specific areas of responsibility and really reinvent what SGA has done and can do. So communication within the office, regular meetings, and really then building in the idea that we are each professionals, we each have a responsibility to work in our own right. I really also want to cultivate an idea that the legislature and the executives are separate. I really think that we don't do ourselves any good when the SGA is directed from the top down, and I think we've seen that in the last year. So I want to be about empowering senators, empowering the chairman of the Senate to work on issues different from the executive and offer their own solutions to problems that we all see. And so I really think in doing this, we'll see more professionalism, more transparency, and more actual debate, more substantive debate on how to approach problems. And then I really hope by empowering both branches to work separately and then partner on different issues, we'll see more work, just the amount of work and the amount of issues addressed in a year go up dramatically.
All right, same question to you, Sean. What are your personal goals to achieve if elected as president?
The biggest personal goal of mine, personally, is to Last year, I wanted to really try to increase the voter turnout for the SGA. And in order to do that, you really have to increase awareness in the SGA. A lot of people don't understand, and frankly, a lot of people don't care about the SGA, and I think that's tragic considering how much responsibility the SGA has. So my personal goal is transparency and involvement with the SGA. Going back to an answer before, going out and reaching out to the, not just reaching out, but going out and making contact and with the student body as well too. We've also talked about, as far as transparency goes, we've talked about things such as like live live feeds for the SGA meetings. So if everyone can't make it back to campus, or anyone can't make it back to campus, they can actually still at least see what's going on at the meeting as well too. These are important things. I really am concerned with the lack of involvement with the student body on the with the SGA, and that's where I feel that the SGA, my personal goal for the SGA is to really try to fill that void.
All right, Sean, you will get this next question to start with. Next question is, what can SGA do to attract students to our university?
The SGA can what we can do is working through the transparency as well too. Make sure that people know that we're there to help as well too, as far as attracting people to the university, working with the different ambassador programs that are going out, and the orientation programs as well too. These are little things that we can do. The biggest thing that I feel that we can do is work on our deferred maintenance, as we said, because a lot of people will come to Coke Arena and they'll say, wow, this is a really great arena. And then they get into the inner part of the university and they see that things are not as great, that we spend a lot of money on our face, but then the inside necessarily, there's a lot of things left to be desired. The other thing that we are really hoping to try to do, really start building WSU up as a research department. This is something Dr. Bardo has talked about as well. And whatever we can do to help facilitate working with different programs as a research school, we want to help with that, as well as trying to get some new degree programs like the American Sign Language work with that as well too, to try to get some new degrees and some new blood into the university.
If I may follow up to that.
All right, we'll give you 1 minute for a rebuttal.
Thank you. I appreciate my opponents pointing to incoming students, and I really feel like that is a valid point. And I do want to say I work with the admissions department currently and agree that we've only taken small steps. As an orientation leader myself, I tried to introduce new students to the SGA and talk about what it does and how important it can be or could be for them, and how if they engaged back, and how if we could improve ourselves, that relationship would be very vibrant. I'm concerned by my opponent's fixation on deferred maintenance and research, because those are two areas, not that SGA has no business in, but that we have no direct control over. And to say that that is a central tenet of one's platform, I'm afraid that we need to address this through Topeka and through talking to legislators, as they are the ones that deal with that issue. Our fees go to making student life vibrant. I think it goes to strengthening our registered student organizations, reaching out to them and empowering them to do what they're already doing, but better and more effectively.
Well, in 30 seconds.
Thank you. Actually, we have been working with people, with legislators in Topeka, so we have been researching the deferred maintenance issues. There are different mechanisms we found to address this problem. I did not say that the research was a major platform, and I did not say that we will control this, Mr. Beckman. What I actually said was we would work with helping Bardo, President Bardo, to achieve this vision in any way that we can.
Right. Darren, the question to you is, what can SGA do to attract students to our university?
I really feel like SGA has itself positioned, like I said before, inside student organizations, and really making sure that that is an ongoing thing, that we reach out to student organizations and help them in their missions, whether that be funding or helping them be more sound when it comes to their legal documents or how they relate to the university, and are they aware of the assets and the materials that campus makes available to them. And I really do believe students, new students even, would be aware of SGA more if we engaged campus on issues. What I haven't seen in this year is a single survey asking students about what issues are important to them or how they would react to student government making any kind of, taking any kind of action on a certain issue. And 2 years ago, I was able to work through the Campus Issues Committee to create surveys and to really engage campus, and I really do believe that if that process were given priority, we'd be able to make students aware of the issues that SGA thinks are important, and then as well ask the question, what's important to you as a student, and what is SGA not doing in your understanding of our mission, our purpose. And if we engage students, not just in surveys, that would be a beginning point, an easily identified example of the sort of thing SGA should be about.
All right, the next question, since we went 2 in a row with Darren leading, we'll go with the second one to you as well. Would you change how SGA is run, and if so, how would you change that?
Thank you, Jake. There are fundamentals that are there that are part of our journal. Obviously, those can't be changed without some really complicated techniques. How I would change the office is communication within the office as well too. The biggest thing that I would change, and that we plan on changing, we hope to change, is, as I said before, the transparency of the SGA. People need to be made aware of that the SGA is there, what we do, and how we do it. This initiative kind of was started at the beginning of the year. It just kind of fell by the wayside, which is unfortunate. We would make sure that we ensure that it does not fall by the wayside. This is something that we all feel very greatly on, and make sure that it gets out there to the students. I've already talked about going out to the students. I've also talked as well about making sure that the meetings are as accessible to the students as possible, even to the point of live broadcast, which we would hope to help facilitate with the Sunflower as well too.
Same question then to you, Darren. Would you change how SGA is run, and if so, how?
Thank you. And I spoke to this a little bit earlier in just how I expect communication to go and how I want to really bring that up, and then also as well transparency. I think it's an important thing. I think we have the beginnings of it. We have the potentiality, which is we post things to our website or our Facebook or OrgSync. I think we need to take advantage of those tools more often and more regularly so as to be very clear and open with campus. I disagree with my opponent when he says that the journal can't be changed but through complicated methods. I think it's our business to make the journal, the founding documents, the legal documents of our association work for us and work for students. And so I'm always open to finding new ways of readjusting ourselves to meet the current mission and needs of Wichita State University. So for me, that means I don't think our programming committee needs to exist. I think SAC and the Student Involvement Office exists for a reason, and I don't know if we need to have a dedicated committee to putting on events when there's someone who's paid to do that already. And that's just one example of something we could change.
You have a rebuttal?
Yes. I would like to say that I am the head of the programming chair, I'm the chair of the programming committee. One of my senators that's running on our ticket is also a member of the programming committee. And we very much don't agree that the programming committee should exist. Where it's nice maybe for the students to have, for the SGA to have an involvement with that in some cases, it would be better suited for the programming committee to be moved to maybe 1 or 2 people to work with the SAC directly to help facilitate any things that they possibly need.
If I may.
Well, I actually have, my next question for you goes along these lines, and I would hope that you might put in a bit what you were thinking with this, especially since you'll start off with this next question, which was that we saw SGA perform a major event this year, bringing in a concert. And we would like to know, is SGA going to be continuing this trend? And if so, in what way? If not, why?
I really do feel like the programming committee was a bold and interesting and worthwhile experiment, and I appreciate the fact that we did that this year and that we tried it out. I got to work on the large event that we're speaking of, the Joe Nichols James Otto concert, and really got to understand the kind of work that was necessary for that, and how much pre-planning and how much follow-through is necessary. And I don't want to make commitments without the entirety of my party, but I am hesitant to take on a project that large with that much money on the line when we don't know if campus is going to follow through and be interested in an event like that. And I really see it as peripheral to the core mission of student government to try to put on events like that. Now, I do appreciate the idea of working with the SAC and offering them a new level of partnership, a new level of cooperation that hasn't been there in the last year. So I'm not saying that we leave them alone or let them do their job by themselves, but I think we need to leave that to the people that do it and have done it for many years and have the institutional knowledge and the university support the student involvement office to do that more effectively.
Same question to you.
Thank you. Shannon Glover, who works with the with the SAC, is a member of our party as well too. It's important for us to be able to work with the SAC and to actually kind of facilitate a cooperation where we're working together. The concert was a nice experience, as interesting experience, as Darren said. However, I don't feel that it is SGA's position. The programming committee was basically set up to kind of come up with some events to help celebrate the centennial of the SGA, which was this year. However, it's my opinion that the programming committee, having fulfilled that, doesn't necessarily need to stay around, stay formed. Therefore, we will be dissolving the programming committee and working more closely with the SAC to help them with any other events and any crossover events.